Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Cheese and the Alien Show. I'm the Cheese. For those of you that follow us weekly, you know that the Alien and I switched last week's show and this week's show to allow her to be able to move closer back up to me here in Illinois. She's moving back to Missouri for good. So hopefully that will mean some more shows in the future where the two of us might be able to even record together. We had all three series going at Dover this past weekend. And we'd like to start off with a congratulations to the winners, Todd Bodine in Truex, Joey Logano in the Nationwide Series, and Jimmy Johnson in the Cup Series. Next, we would like to support one of our favorite members of the Fox Media crew and wish Dick Bergeron a happy retirement, and we look forward to someday getting to a race up in New Hampshire and visiting the Motorsports Museum that he will now be helping to build in his retirement years. Shout outs, we have quite a few this week, starting with Ryan Truex, who won the pole in the Nationwide race and then came so close to winning. I just listened to about the last 30 laps in the car. I couldn't watch it on TV, but I'm sure the people of Boone County up here were wondering what all the screaming was going on, cheering him on while I'm driving down the road. It's so close, but still very strong finish for a driver who definitely deserves to be in a full-time Cup seat and not, odd races here and there for a handful of different teams. Our next shout-out is Mark Martin for his 54th career pole, more poles than most drivers could even imagine winning. It's a couple seasons worth. Even if he won every week, it would still take quite a while to win that many pole awards. Casey Kane, we might have missed this one last week, didn't realize it till I was watching some stuff this weekend, pre-race and all that. But Casey Kane is the first driver now to have won in all four of the current manufacturers, Ford, Chevrolet, Dodge, and Toyota. Even if one wasn't a points race, it was I believe a Daytona dual race, not positive, or Budweiser shootout. He's the only one that's been able to win in all four. Most of the drivers haven't even been with more than one or two manufacturers in their career. And Casey's still one of the younger guys in the garage area, and to have won in all four already was a pretty amazing feat, if you ask me. And one group that might get overlooked quite often are the crews. I know we've had a lot of discussion of the crews messing up on pit road and things like that, but they're definitely the hardest working people, even more so than the drivers a lot of times. And especially the crews for Ricky Stenhouse in the Nationwide Series, and then Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards in the Cup Series, and all the work that they've put in during the races to get their cars back out, to salvage even a few points. We all saw last year between the 14 and the 99 how valuable 1 or 2 points can be at the end of the season, which is the great thing about our new point system that was implemented last year. Our next shout out is for Ty Dillon for setting the record in the Truck Series for most consecutive top 10 finishes for a rookie. He's only raced in 9 truck races, including 3 of them at the end of last year. And after the 18th place in his debut, he's been in the top 10 for every single race, including a 2nd place finish earlier this season. It's only a matter of time until we see him in victory lane. And his dominance from the ARCA series last year continuing on into trucks. Definitely got some of that family talent there. And in his unexpected Nationwide debut last weekend, an 8th place finish. It's hard for even the Nationwide regulars to pull off the top 10s in that series these days. Even though the number of Cup drivers is down, it's still such a demanding series and competitive series that a top 10 in a debut is definitely something to congratulate. We'd also like to shout out Tim Bainey Jr. in his Nationwide debut, and I know he was kind of involved in one or two of the wrecks, but still, we always like it when new drivers get to come into the series. And if you ask me, all 3 races showed how we are back to the great racing that everyone's been complaining that's been missing. There's not enough cautions, no wrecks, nothing like that. We had it in all 3 series this weekend. The mile tracks are definitely one of my favorites. And the first truck and nationwide races I went to were the Milwaukee Mile, which is another track that we wish would get back on the circuit. Hopefully now, with the return of the IndyCar series, just in another week or so, it's going to start, helping that track to get back to life, and we can get some NASCAR racing back there too. Anyways, we had all sorts of spins on track for the trucks, whether it was some of the rookies, some of the young guns that have maybe been in the truck series for a few years, or even some of the drivers, including the winner, Todd Bodine, that have been around since about the time the truck series began. Everyone was having problems spinning, and maybe not a whole lot of crashes because of it, but there was certainly plenty of cautions, and not just the ones for the rain either. We had a handful of crashes in the nationwide race, including a lot of them coming from spins again, like the truck series, the points leader, and then the Cup race on Sunday was the worst of all, with a 13-car wreck only a few laps into the race. It's the things you expect at the end of a race, but it's one of the biggest wrecks we've had in quite a while. The kind of wrecks you expect at restrictor plate tracks like Daytona, Talladega, and now we're seeing it on a mile-long track. I think the racing has been good all along, and we just finally saw it on a shorter track this past weekend at Dover. But glad to see that hopefully everyone's happy that we have all sorts of wrecks again. Pit road issues has been one thing that was brought up, especially after the Charlotte race a couple weeks ago. In the extreme heat that we saw, it was definitely seen way up here in the Midwest. And think about it, you're in those heavy fire suits, running around, standing in the sun for the entire afternoon. You're going to get tired, and these crews do a really good job. I know I certainly could not stand out there all afternoon in a fire suit running around doing my job and stay as focused as they are. And we're mentioning it like this is something new, and we had all those quality teams that had problems this past weekend, and even some of the engine failures, which, by the way, Ford did not have again. Shout out to Ford. I think it's just, we're seeing it more from the top-ranked teams like the 48 team, which at some points can seem flawless to the rest of us. I think we're just making more of a note of it now, that because the competition is so close, that there's more pressure put on these pit crews. So we're making a bigger deal out of the little mistakes that are seen on pit road. One announcement I saw earlier this week is that the testing ban that's been in place on all of the circuit tracks for the past couple years, and in order to help teams save money, could be lifted now this summer at some point, or even for next year, allowing teams up to 6, 7, maybe even 8 testing sessions per year on the tracks that we use, which is a good sign that maybe we're coming out of the recession a little bit, the economy is looking better, and it could be so helpful for some of these teams and maybe show which teams really have had it all along. For our fashion segment, we have another shout out finally for fashion this week. Jimmy Johnson's Madagascar wig. Gotta love the giant rainbow afro. Commercials for the movie are funny enough, but gotta give Jimmy some credit for being able to wear that in pre-race and then victory lane at the same time. Maybe that's where the lucky horseshoe's been hidden all along. The final news from this week that everyone's been talking about is Kurt Busch's suspension and all of his issues with Justin Allgaier and then members of the media once again. I haven't had much time to talk to the alien this week because she's been packing to move back home, but I know what my opinion on it is that it was a bit steep to suspend him, but since he violated his probation, he did kind of ask for it. I think it was fair. One race, and then other things that I've heard is that it's showing that probation is kind of a big deal. We've all brushed it off in the past that drivers get put on probation all the time for maybe a month or for the remainder of the season, things like that, and crew chiefs and stuff too. But we've never really seen anybody violate that probation to the point like Kurt did on Saturday with threats to the media. So maybe it's showing that, you know, it's a bigger deal than we thought to have probation. And my other opinion on this might be a little mean, but I like having a few of the drivers down in the Nationwide Series more because that's within my price range. That's what I can go and see. But, you know, also for the drivers of the Nationwide Series, that the whole point of the series is to, you know, get these young stars, you know, stars in the making, I should say, you know, get them up to the level where they can compete in Cup, and having a few of those professional drivers there to compete against can really help build their skills. But when you're going to get in the way of their own series, they're all racing for a championship and things like that, and Kurt getting mad with Justin Allgaier, and I think that Justin had his, you know, stance more correct than Kurt, in that if Justin's here, he's top 5 in points, or very close to it, I believe. You know, he's fighting for more than just a win in the race. He's there for his championship and to build his skills. And for Kurt to get in the way of that, I think Justin has every right to be mad. And if Kurt has a problem with Justin getting mad at him, then don't race in the Nationwide Series. We've seen it before with these drivers complaining. Don't race with them then. You know that they aren't quite as good of competition as you're used to in the Cup Series. And last shout out, since I'm a little late on getting the video recorded this week, we have congratulations to Kyle Busch for winning Prelude to the Dream last night. I know Casey Kane had led a lot of the race and kind of took himself out at one point, but Kyle won it fair and square, so congratulations to him. And in our weekly fantasy competition, it's been a while since I've been able to say this, but I beat the Alien last week. We both had strong weeks. Mine was just a little bit better, made a few better choices on my teams. And we hope everyone enjoys the races this weekend. Nationwide is off. Texas for the Truck Series, they're with the Indy cars this weekend. And then the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway for the Cup Series. Hope you all have a great weekend.